Today we'll look at describing physical approaches to develop our physical performance. In particular, we'll look at two approaches: continuous training and fartlek training. A common question that could come up in an exam is describe two approaches you have used to develop the physical factor. This question is usually worth 4 marks. What the question is looking for is that we can actually identify firstly our two approaches to develop the physical factor, and that is, as we've already said, continuous training and fartlek training. With a describe question, you need to really paint a picture for someone who you can imagine has never been there before, has never heard of continuous training and fartlek training before. By the end of your answer, they should know exactly how that approach is set up, how it is carried out in chronological order, and how it can be progressed to make it gradually tougher to ensure overload occurs. It is your aim to try and achieve 1 mark per every sentence. Be concise, get to the point, and don't waver. So let's start with continuous training. As has already been said, the first part of your describe answer is looking at how an approach is set up. In regards to continuous training, it is set up around the outside of your pitch or court. So if you're a tennis player, you would carry out continuous training around the outside of the tennis court. If you're a football player, you would carry your continuous training out around the outside of your football pitch, and so on and so forth. You don't need to give any justification for this, just get straight to the point. Remember to introduce your approach. One approach I used to develop the physical factor was continuous training. I carried this approach out around the outside of my hockey pitch. Once we've now set up continuous training, we need to tell the examiner how we carried it out. Now, continuous training. Think about your literacy, continuous. That tells you already that the pace is at a steady pace. There is no changing of pace, it's simply a steady pace because you're continuing to go at the same pace throughout. Consider your sport as well. Most of you will do an activity that requires running. However, 1 or 2 in the class may swim. Some may do speedway and cycle. So therefore, continuous training can be done jogging, in the pool, or on the bike. Consider what one is most relevant to your sport. You'll aim to carry out continuous training for about 20 minutes to start off with. 20 minutes is the minimum that you can carry out continuous training for to produce any adaptations for your CRE, i.e. improving your cardiorespiratory endurance. Throughout your approach, you would wear a heart rate monitor, and you would check your heart rate watch throughout to ensure that you're staying in your heart rate training zone, which is your endurance zone. This endurance zone is 70 to 85% of your training. So you need to make sure you're staying in between 70 to 85% intensity throughout your session. During the session, you would have a partner counting how many laps you did of the football pitch or the tennis court or the basketball court, just to ensure that you have got somebody monitoring your laps, and that would allow you to see if you are achieving the short-term goal you may have set for this session. So if we put that all together, again looking to try and achieve a mark per sentence, I carried continuous training out for 20 minutes at a steady pace. Throughout this approach, I tried to stay in my heart rate training zone of 70 to 85%. During the approach, my partner was counting how many laps I did for monitoring purposes to see if I met my short-term goal. The third aspect we need to consider is how was the approach progressed. Remember about your principles of training. You need to ensure that you're progressing through overload. So what aspect will we overload? It can either be the frequency. So rather than doing it 2 times a week, you might decide, I'll do it 3 times a week. Intensity, you might decide to try and continue at a higher pace throughout the continuous training. Or you may decide to overload the time and do it for longer. So you may decide that rather than doing it 20 minutes in session 2 to make it a little harder and progress my ability, my CRE, I will do it for 23 minutes. So that's continuous training dealt with. We now need to consider how does fartlek training differ. When you consider the setup, fartlek training is exactly the same as continuous training. It's carried out around the outside of your pitch or court. Again, don't be lazy here, actually write this down. A second approach I used to develop my CRE was fartlek training. I carried this out around the outside of my handball court. This is where key differences emerge in regard to how it's carried out. Rather than staying at a steady pace throughout, fartlek training incorporates different speeds. Fartlek training means speed play in Swedish. So it's about playing with the speeds, changing them up. So what you could maybe say is that down one side of the tennis court, I performed a 50% jog. I walked up one end, and then a 3/4 jog down the next line, before sprinting along the back line. But you must ensure that you tell the examiner that there was a period of walking, a period of jogging at 50%, a period of jogging at 3/4 pace, and a sprint. So 4 paces throughout your session. Now consider your time. If you've just given the description of continuous training, you've said continuous training was for 20 minutes. Fartlek training has to be for longer. So I would suggest that I carried out fartlek training for 25 minutes. And again, I would have a partner count how many laps I did for monitoring purposes to see if I met my short-term goal. Progression-wise, is very similar to continuous training. You can increase the frequency. Rather than doing it 3 times a week, you might do it 4 times a week. Time, rather than doing it for 25 minutes, you might overload it by 3 minutes to do it for 28 minutes. Or intensity-wise, rather than doing a walk up the long side of a football pitch or a sprint along the short side, you may decide to switch these two, so you're walking and recovering less and sprinting at a higher intensity for longer. So you may decide to do a sprint down the long side instead and a walk or a shorter distance along the back. Having now just discussed how that we would answer this question, can you now go away and comfortably achieve 4 out of 4? Remember, aim to try and get 1 mark per sentence and use past tense and speak in the first person. Good luck.